Hello and welcome to Bags of Action. My name is Pete and this is a 5-minute Bags of Action review of A Walk Among the Tombstones from 2014. Private investigator Matthew Scudder is hired by a drug kingpin to find out who kidnapped and murdered his wife. This one was written and directed by Scott Frank. Now, Frank made his name as a screenwriter. He wrote things like Get Shorty, that adaptation, Out of Sight, Logan, and Minority Report as well. And he's gone on to write and direct The Lookout, and also a couple of very well-received Netflix TV series, Godless, and most recently, The Queen's Gambit. So this Private Eye movie stars Liam Neeson in the main role. You've also got Dan Stevens in this from Legion and Apostle, David Harbour, recently Hellboy, and from Stranger Things, of course, Adam David Thompson from Godless, where he reteamed with Scott Frank, and also recently Vampires vs. the Bronx, Boyd Holbrook from The Predator and also Logan, again reteaming with Scott Frank, and Astro, who was in Earth to Echo and See You Yesterday. Now, A Walk Among the Tombstones is the 10th in the series of Matt Scudder novels written by Lawrence Block, and there have been 20 books to date. This is the second appearance on screen of the character Matt Scudder. The recovering alcoholic ex-cop turned private eye was previously played by Jeff Bridges in 8 Million Ways to Die back in 1986. So A Walk Among the Tombstones is set in 1999, and it feels like a 90s movie in many ways, and I think it's all the better for it. The opening flashback sequence set in, I think, 1991 is electric. It's really breathtaking. It's not just a great action sequence, it's also brilliantly shot as well as choreographed. And that hooked me. I knew I was going to like this film within minutes. So Scott Frank has proven himself to be not only one of the best screenwriters in the business currently, but over the past few years, just as talented a director too. So what about the acting? Neeson is at his best here, somewhere between the usually heightened action movie roles he plays, like The Takens, and his more dramatic work, somewhere between the two, and it works really well. There's echoes of Next of Kin in some ways, one of his earlier roles. And Neeson is surrounded by a very strong cast, and they all put in really great performances. This is very much in the traditional detective movie gumshoe approach, which you don't really see that much anymore. Somebody going around asking questions and solving clues. And I really liked it for that, but it really felt like the first in what should be a series of movies. And that made me think about another thing that I really love, which is the Guy Pearce starring Jack Irish Australian TV movies, which end up being a TV series eventually. And this film does something similar to the Jack Irish films. It combines kind of a sinister approach or serious approach to some very disturbing crimes, while at the same time giving you memorable, distinct character quirks as well. And I think it treads that line really, really carefully and really, really well. One thing I did notice is there are literally no female characters in this film apart from the victims of the two kidnappers, and I think maybe a waitress, which did stand out for me. And it makes sense within the story, but it was something that I did notice. So, Walk Among the Tombstones. Overall, I love the tone of this movie and the almost episodic feel of it. I mean, it's just a shame that this probably will end up being a one-off. And because of that, the final act of the film felt a little bit unsatisfying to me, and the pacing of the whole film, when seen as a standalone movie on its own, that's probably what holds it back for me ever so slightly. I've ummed and ahed because, I say, the first sort of 15-20 minutes, I thought it was an absolute classic. By the end, I enjoyed it, but not quite that much. But I have to say, Scott Frank has gone from being one of my favourite writers to now being one of my favourite filmmakers. And I will watch basically whatever he does next, whether it's in TV or movies of interest. I loved Godless, I loved The Queen's Gambit, and this is a very strong movie with a writer-director who really knows what he's doing. His dialogue is really strong, it's really well written, but also visually there's a flair and there's a style there, and the kind of shots that he chooses are really, really well put together. I hope there might be another Matt Scudder film along the line. Hopefully Neeson could do another one with Scott Frank, but I don't know, it feels like 6 years on that might not happen. So, Having ummed and ahed about this a lot and wrestled with it, particularly as we don't do half bags on this show, I'm going to have to give A Walk Among the Tombstones a 3. 3 bags of action out of 5. It was so nearly a 4. Have you seen A Walk Among the Tombstones? Do you agree with my assessment of it? Would you have given it a 4? Would you have given it a 5? Or lower than a 3? Feel free to comment below, or you can get in touch with us. You can do that on email, on Facebook, or on Twitter. We have new episodes coming out each week, including our full-length podcast and the occasional interview. Don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell for notifications so you never miss a show. Bags of Action will always be free, but if you'd like to buy us a coffee, of course you can do that at our Ko-fi page.